We're going to begin. I just got permission from the Colonel. We've had some problems with the tech stuff, but we're hoping for the best tonight. We still have our musician in Rhode Island, wonderful Bruce Ruby, and a soloist he found. So we're hoping that works, or at least some of it works, and we'll soon find out. I want you to be on your best behavior, my regular folks, because I don't mean you, T. I don't, not. But we have some new people today, so we need to make a good impression, them of us who can. All that's in jest, but now we'll try to begin if we can have the prelude.
Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. It's Christmas Eve 2023. My name is Kitty Rowell, and I'm your worship associate this evening. We're a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. Please silence your phone if you have not already to do that. Our Reverend Bob McDonald is in the pulpit. Bruce Ruby, from afar, that you saw up there, will provide our music. And now it's time to light the chalice. Reverend Bob asked me to share with you very briefly my memories of Christmas Eve growing up. I was raised a Methodist in Birmingham, Alabama. Yes, this is a real accent. And when I think of Christmas Eve, I think of gathering in our living room, my mother and daddy and my older brother, on Christmas Eve with the glittering tree, the manger scene, reading the nativity story. But what I mostly remember is my feelings of love and kindness and excitement and hope, and like being in a bag of warm fuzzies. You know, it was just great. And the evening would end after we sang some Christmas carols and read the Bible. We got instructions from Daddy to be sure that both of us come into the Christmas tree area in the next morning together, not separately, so nobody sees what he or she has gotten from Santa Claus before the other one. Every year, my brother broke that promise. He got up at 4 o'clock, went in there, came back, and when I'd get up, you know, I didn't have a good memory, you know, of last year. I'd get up and I'd say, Billy, we're gonna go in there, you know, the door's closed to the from the hallway. He wouldn't do it, so anyway. But it was still full of love and hope and fun and excitement, and I hope you have a great memory of all that too, like me. Stand if you like to sing hymn number 237, The First Noel. 3 verses. Open your hymnals if you don't know this one by heart, because the words will not be up here on the screen. And this is a version of the nativity story. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And Joseph also went up from Galilee into the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. That's from Luke 2. And here is Reverend Bob.
These readings in the back of the hymnal are interpretations of the meaning of Christmas. The first by a very prominent Baptist minister named Howard Thurman, The Work of Christmas. When the song of angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the king and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the brothers, to make music in the heart. I'm sure the Reverend meant sisters too. The second reading is by Sophia Lyon-Fahs. And the title is, For So the Children Come. For so the children comes, and so they have been coming, always in the same way they come, born of the seed of man and woman. No angels herald their beginnings, no prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers and mothers, sitting beside their children's cribs, feel glory in the sight of a new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end? Or will it ever end? Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping. Sophia Lyon-Fahs. And now 244 will remain seated and sing It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. 244. Midnight have been out of sync before, and we survive in and out of sync. So we plow on. Before I tell my little stories, I want to again say how grateful I am to Bruce. We normally have a cellist and a pianist, but they're away today. So we went to our pianist emeritus. He just can't get away from us. He moved to Rhode Island, but we couldn't let him entirely go. But we're really grateful, Bruce, if you're watching. If you're not, we're still grateful. And for the soloist, whom you'll be appreciating soon. And also my thanks again to Karina, who had to do a lot of coordinating and is back there doing a lot of coordinating. So you get tomorrow off, Karina. Thank you very much. This morning I started with a few stories, and I said I would end with a couple stories tonight. Karen Armstrong wrote that a number of religions a long time ago, she says 700 BCE, that's a long time ago, discovered that compassion was the purpose of religion and the heart of the universe. We could say the heart of deity, if we were so inclined. The point being that a compassionate spirit was what religion was about. I have said many times, I wished we saw more evidence of that having caught on, but there's always hope. It was only almost 3,000 years ago. And she cited a number of religions that she thought picked this up, and it began to be a seed in those religions. So anyhow, it seems to me the birth stories, which are stories that people wrote to say what they hoped that the birth of Jesus would come to mean, that these stories are trying to express this heart of the universe, generosity, largesse of spirit. Now, some of the stories that remind me of that and speak to that related to Christmas. What's the first most obvious one that comes to mind? Dickens. You know Dickens? Yes, it was the best. Oh, that was another story. Anyway, A Christmas Carol. Scrooge discovers that he doesn't want greed to be his legacy. And he becomes a different kind of person when he is given to see what greed has done to the world around him, kind of industrial age Britain. A Christmas Carol. Another wonderful story to me is Fulghum, Robert Fulghum. Is that how you say that, Fulghum? A great UU minister and author. A number of his books, the best known one I suspect is Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. But anyhow, in one of the books, he tells the story about the Vietnamese boat kid who canvasses the neighborhood on Christmas Eve, and if you answer your door, he says trick or treat, and he has a bag, and if you put money in it, he sings, what does he sing? It's not Silent Night. Oh, that's terrible. Did I write it down? Oh, he sings Jingle Bells. And then perhaps if you put more money in it, he'll go away. I don't know. But it's Fulgham's way of saying that when refugees and immigrants come to our door, we ought to welcome them as best we can. Now that raises very complicated issues today, but that was UU Minister Robert Fulgham's way of saying, in the 70s, were any of you part of a church that took in Vietnamese boat people? Mine did in a little Methodist church on Long Island, and we paid their way to get there, and we put them up. They hunted squirrels and rabbits on our property, which we didn't know was part of it, but that's what they were used to in their culture. But as soon as they landed, they wanted to go on to California because they had relatives there, and we facilitated that. But anyhow, this is Fulgham saying, a meaning of Christmas is to have an extended heart and show it. Now, the other thing that Christmas brings to mind is one of my favorites and one of Tia's favorites, which I can't get away without. And you know the story, the Velveteen Rabbit. This critter was bought by one of my daughters on a school trip. She used all the money I gave her to spend on her trip to buy this for her old man, and told me that she remembered when she saw this how often I talked about it. So this is my Velveteen Rabbit. And you know the story of the rabbit, it's kind of make-believe, but the rabbit becomes under the tree for the boy, and he sees a lot of more fancy gifts and tech gifts. Today we would probably say tech screen gifts. And he thinks that he's pretty out of his league. And he notices a skin horse, a rocking horse, I think we'd call it, or used to. And they have a number of conversations together. The skin horse is older, so the rabbit asks the skin horse, how do I get into the boy's good graces, or something like that. And well, I'll read it. The skin horse says before I read it, says to the rabbit, if the boy loves you and shows it, you become real. You become real. All right. The skin horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others. He was so old that his brown coat was bald in patches and showed the seams underneath, and most of the hairs in his tail had been pulled out to string bead necklaces. He was wise, for he had seen a long succession of mechanical toys arrive to boast and swagger, and by break their mainsprings and pass away, and he knew that they were only toys and would never turn into anything else. For nursery magic is very strange and wonderful, and only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced, like the skin horse, understand all about it. What is real? Asked the rabbit one day when they were all lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to tidy the room. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? Real isn't how you are made, said the skin horse. It's the thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, he asked, or bit by bit? It doesn't happen all at once, said the skin horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen to people who break easily or have sharp edges or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly except to people who don't understand. Now, if you can borrow and read the rest of it if you want. What does this becoming real mean? Who here has totally finished becoming real? We keep saying here, we aren't totally finished until you know what happens. So we don't really want to be finished until that time. But I think most of us are old enough and wise enough to know the difference between real and phony, and surface and depth, and the things that communicate real to us. And it does include being loved, maybe getting to look like you didn't know you were going to get to look like, but it's okay because you're loved. And that's the way life goes. So we say here, year in and year out, that life is a process, it's a journey. We're all on our own path, but we're all hopefully in the process of becoming real. And now I'm hoping we are about to hear a beautiful solo. Wow, a 12th grader from Rhode Island. Um, Now you have to make a decision. Do you want to sit or do you want to stand for Silent Night? Stand if you want to, or sit if you want to. But while we're passing you the candle, please hold the paper toward the top and, be careful with the flame. You want to go that way? It's 2:51 if you need to look it up. 2:51. I asked for some quiet verses, so just listen to this. here's what's happening. The service is concluded. We've run over, and I want us to get on to our next thing. But I want to just mention a couple of things. Again, my appreciation to Bruce and to Geneva and to Karina. And you notice we didn't take an offering this evening. I don't want you to leave thinking, you know, something was wrong. We're not taking an offering this evening. But if you have anything you can give, we're helping a reunited family from Guatemala, and that stocking there would receive whatever you could put in it, if you care to. But, you know, we're not passing it around. And then please stay for cookies following, and please extinguish carefully.
And Merry Christmas.
Yes, over cookies. It had moments, didn't it? And your statement